100 years ago, if some shit was breaking out in China, you wouldn't really have heard it till maybe a year or two later when it was all done. You wouldn't get this bulletin that was like, hey, like, wash your hands, buy all the toilet paper you can, or you're going to die. Do it now. It's just...
This is the Nomadic Traveler Podcast.
Anniversary episode.
Welcome to Nomadic Traveler Podcast. I am your host, Jason, and our lovely and wonderful co-host is here as always, Miss Nicole Bonner.
Hey, y'all. What's up?
What's going on, y'all?
I don't know why I just went country. Switching it up.
Get some twang. And this is part 2 of our anniversary show. Last week we ran over and we got so much good stuff from Mr. Nathan Johnson that we decided to do a part 2.
Yes, Nathan
so
Johnson.
Rather than try to edit out some of the goodness and try to make it shorter so it kind of fits within our time frame, we thought, forget that.
Yeah.
Or I guess since Nathan's on this show, we can say fuck that.
Fuck that shit.
And we're going to have Nathan on. This will be an explicit episode. I should have told you that before I dropped the F-bomb. This will be an explicit episode. Nathan likes to talk. We don't like to edit him, so he will speak freely on this episode.
Yes, but you guys are going to love it.
So, yes, you will love it. So, without further ado, we bring you Nathan Johnson. What up, guys? This is Jason again. I just wanted to let you know that this episode was recorded on March 4th. We're getting ready to release it. Today is the 23rd, and I just wanted to let you know that we do talk about the coronavirus a little bit, and some of the things that we talk about in this episode are a little outdated. So always get your up-to-date coronavirus information from the CDC, and do not take any corona advice from us. All right, without further ado, we bring you Nathan. All right, let's see if I can get it. Give him a call. All right, here we go.
Hey.
Are you there?
How you doing?
What's going on, buddy? How you doing, man?
A little bit of everything. You won't be able to see me because I've got my mic set up behind this big... It's actually just a...
You got your like a little sound booth going over there?
I've just lost the fucking word for it. It's a suitcase. It's literally a suitcase.
That's
that
awesome.
I've put a bunch of...
Oh, nice. So it's soundproofing. Yeah, you got some soundproofing going. I like it.
Oh, I couldn't see it.
Put a bunch of linen in the front of it, so like just pillows and shit. So it's the best I've got. We're still setting stuff up. We actually just in the city right now. We bought a whole bunch of stuff for this office, so we're turning it into our soundproof room, but we're just not there yet.
Very nice.
Sounds awesome.
All right, well, we got you live on the air already, so
fantastic.
I didn't know if you were aware or not. So what's going on, man? So last time we talked Bali, right?
We talked Bali, yeah.
So you told us
we
all
had
about
a good chat. I love talking Bali.
Yeah, so that show was fantastic. You know, we've been talking about the number of downloaded. So we just had our buddy Tom Pollard on, and he is our #1 most downloaded show. And you are the 5th and the 7th most downloaded show because we divided your episode in half.
Yeah.
Dope. Yeah, actually, I saw that you did that because we chatted for a while. We got through some stuff.
Yeah, and we couldn't cut it off, so we just figured we'd make it into 2.
It was wonderful, yeah.
So wait, Tom Pollard is #1.
Tom Pollard is #1, yes. He's our friend that climbed Mount Everest. And he found a climber that had been frozen on Mount Everest for 75 years. So it was like world news. It was crazy. So
yeah.
All right, Tom.
Tom. We call him Tommy P.
All right, Tommy P. Just fucking climbing mountains. But yeah, man, things are great for me. Like I moved to Panama. I'm living in a place called Ensenada, which is about an hour and 20 from the city along the west coast.
So where were you living last time we talked to you? You were in Canada?
I I was in Toronto, but I was only there kind of I think I was there for 2 months, kind of in between. So we spent most of last year traveling Mexico.
Okay.
We did 5 months in Mexico, then we did 3 months in the States. I went to Austria for like a month on a snowboarding trip.
Okay.
So yeah, we were kind of in transit last time we spoke, and we were looking between. It was actually down to where was it? Portugal, Costa Rica, Mexico, or Panama. We were going to move to one of those, and we did a bunch of research, and here we are, Panama.
Nice.
Ooh.
So what out of the research made you choose Panama? What is it?
So one of the biggest things was it's very easy for us. Louise, my partner, who's wonderful, she has a brother named Tim, who I'm also very close with. But Tim has quite severe autism and needs 24-hour care. And of all the places, because we plan on taking Tim in once her parents are, get a little older and can't take care of him anymore. And actually, hopefully sooner, we'd love to take him in ASAP. And Panama, he can actually come in on Louise's visa. So a lot of places, a lot of countries aren't as receptive to people with any sort of disabilities. Whereas Panama is like, no, if you guys get a visa, you go right on and bring Tim in and we'll have a party. So here we are.
Very nice.
Wow.
That's nice of them.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, it's great. I think, Louise is more the one that's been looking into it, and I'm sure they've got requirements as to how much money that we're making, or I don't know, I'm sure, no one's too keen on going, all right, yeah, we'll pick up the tab if something goes wrong.
Yeah.
And fair enough, there's people here paying tax and that's how it is. But yeah, as far as the visa and becoming a resident, staying long term and all that sort of stuff, they were like, yeah, no worries. Just bring him in on your visa.
Is Louise Australian? Is she Australian also? Sorry.
No, she's from Toronto. That's why we head up there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Quite a bit, yeah.
That is so cool that they're willing to do that. That's awesome.
So
yeah, it's amazing.
Are you Australian, the citizenship?
Yeah,
currently?
I'm Australian.
So is that where your citizenship is currently?
Yeah,
Okay.
totally.
Okay.
So have you guys already applied for your visa, or you have to do that now?
Uh-oh. I think we got a frozen screen.
Oh no.
I think we may have lost it.
That question just shut it down.
That's the showstopper.
Literally.
Lost connection. There was a problem with the network. Okay. Well, let's hang up.
We get to hear the song again.
Maybe we can call him back. Boom. Oh, connection is too weak. Please try again later. Okay. Well, we'll try him again in just a minute. And just so you don't have to listen to dead air, I think we'll cut this for just a minute. And we'll be right back. So the fun thing about this is how it really is when we make a show.
There's always little mishaps.
So we were going to edit all this out, but we thought we would leave it in, and we're going to call Nathan back right now. Nathan's back!
Sorry.
Technical difficulties.
They had Carnival here last week, and the internet hasn't been the same. It was the wildest party. I don't even know how to explain it. Everyone from kind of 4 years old to 70, 80 years old was in the street for like 12 hours a day for a week, and it was wild, and the internet hasn't been the same since.
So you went, is it for a whole week? Did you go every day or what?
It wasn't like a full week, really. It was like a 3-day party, but there were people, because people take the whole week off and stuff, so there were people around partying. And because we had a lot of work on, we just launched a new product. We were actually trying to avoid it. And we live a fair way out in the country and in a gated community. And we thought we were going to be safe here. Mm-hmm. We were fucking wrong. The party came to us. This whole place filled up. They actually opened the gates out the front where normally there's a security check and you need to show ID to get in and everything. They opened the whole place up. Everyone was allowed in and out at will. Strangers using the beach here. It was great. It was awesome. But the timing was just rough work-wise. But other than that, it was a whole lot of fun.
Okay, so tell us about your new program then. What's up with that?
Oh, so we launched a new course. There's a product out there. It's an organizational tool for business called Asana. Phenomenal product. Highly recommend it. And so my partner and I, we worked together, and she designed this amazing course, basically how to use Asana and get the most out of it. Not just to organize your business, though that is the main focus, but we put a bunch of kind of little nuggets of gold in there, some wisdom, how we run our business and where we make a lot of our money for our business, and stuff like that we just thought would add a little bit of extra value to the course for people.
And it's spelled ASANA, is that right?
Yeah, people can go to Uplevel with Asana, ASANA, yeah.
ASANA,
I was tongue-tied for a
yeah.
second. Uplevelwithasana.com.
So Uplevel is your new program?
Uplevel with Asana is the name of the program, yeah.
Excellent.
Nice. That is awesome.
Very nice.
But hey, I wanted to ask you guys, so this is for your 1-year anniversary. That's incredible.
It is, as a matter of fact, yes. We're super excited.
Yes.
What's how has having this podcast affected you guys individually and as a couple?
Well, Nicole has let the fame go to her head, so
I know, right? Just buying cars and jewelry, and meeting people.
So, yeah, our podcast is not that big, so we don't make really any money on it.
Yeah.
So it's more like a hobby.
I would say, though, like individual, I think we were talking about this, I think, earlier in the episode with Mia, but we have just met so many cool people that do things I would have never heard of before, I would have never learned about, go places I would have never been, and just like inspiring me to just do so many things, even though I haven't done a whole lot of travel since we started the podcast.
That's so amazing, though. And I find I get that out of my podcast. And if this podcast does nothing else ever for you, that would be enough, right? Because that's amazing.
That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, that's one thing, because it is very time consuming, as you know. And so that's one thing we've been talking about a lot, is just like how much time it is, but it's just what we're gaining from it, even if it's just a hobby, it's not anything else besides that, is so valuable. I mean, just the connections we've made, people who we're still friends with, but maybe never even met in real life,
We just think it's cool to have friends all over the world, too. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, right, for sure.
Fuck yeah, it's great. And
Yeah.
I mean, especially when you do, pull your finger out of your ass and start traveling. Like I've told you guys, we've got 2 spare rooms. One's getting converted into a sound studio. But yeah, we've got a full spare room, 2 double beds in it. It's big. There's private pools here, a private beach, restaurant. We've got a car you can use to get around. We got surfboards. All through podcasting. That's how we met. It's magic.
You heard it here, everybody. We've been invited to Panama.
Yay! So when are we going?
Sign up.
That's the question.
Hell yeah.
No, yeah, it's really made me also think a lot about my career too. Just in finishing my degree, like, do I want to do it? Do I want to find something that's more remote? I don't know. So that's what I love about it, is because we've learned from almost every guest. I think we've learned something about remote work and how to have more time in your life. And I think that's something that, even though I haven't been able to follow through with, I think we're going to talk about later in the end of the episode about kind of where we're at. Even though I haven't been able to follow through with it, I feel so knowledgeable now, more than I was.
We found out there's a lot of different options for remote work that we didn't even know existed. So, and that's part of the thing that we love about the show, is we get to share that with everybody and
absolutely,
get them off the grid a little bit and get them doing their dreams as well. So,
yeah, for sure. It's definitely
that's amazing. And have you got to I think a lot of people do this even without realizing, but have you ever stopped and thought why you actually go to work each day?
Oh, because you have to make money, right? Isn't that the standard answer?
I mean, yeah, that's the standard answer. So then the next question, would just logically be, if you weren't, if you could make that money elsewhere, why would you get in the car and go back tomorrow? Because I think once you start to go down that path, if you try to actually answer those questions with the idea of all right, if I could do that somewhere else, or if I didn't have to do what I'm going to do today, like where does your mind drift to after that? That's the exciting bit, because you're like, well, okay, like, the money's coming in there. I'm working online. I'm working remotely. I'm doing this. So where could I, where else could I go?
Yeah.
Right. Trust me, like every time we're up in the office working, I'm constantly on the computer looking up some type of new hustle.
Yeah.
Jason makes fun of me. I think what was the last thing I wanted to do was like some hauling.
Nicole wanted to be a hot shot truck driver.
Hot shot truck driving for a little while. I don't think it's
You
going to pan.
fucking cut that shit out right now. That's the last, listeners. We have an announcement to make. That's the last time you will ever hear. What was it? Hot shot
Truck driving.
I don't know.
Do you know what that is?
It sounds like hooking. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
No, it's like where you like have your own, like, say, dually truck, and then you would have like a trailer, and maybe you transport cars across the country or various other things. So it's like trucking, but it's in like a 3500 dually truck or something. It's not like a semi.
So you're your own.
So you're your own
contractor.
boss, and you got to keep track of your own bills and pay for your own oil changes and tires.
Yeah,
and
but you make
wear
your own
and tear
money.
but
So you can work really hard for a month and be off for 3 months.
there's
or
potential
something
to
like
make a lot of money, but there's also potential for you to blow your truck up and for it to be a disaster.
that. Also,
And she would have to be on the road for like more time than she would like, I think.
right. It's a bad example because it's not going to happen, but it's just an example of the fact that, like, okay, now I know there's things out there that people are doing, and I want to know more. I want to find the one that fits me.
Because she was like, I could do this for a year, make like $100,000.
I was like,
I mean, you are spot on, and I love that your listeners through you, like anyone, if you're looking at these other things, it's the first big step, like that kind of twist in your mindset of like, all right, what else is out there is like the biggest thing. Because once you start that journey, like, I think I was saying last time, starting the journey is the main thing. You might find something and be like, all right, this is it, phenomenal, and do it for a month and be like, yeah, it wasn't this, but I've already broken free from the job I didn't like, so now I'll try something else. And that's the main thing.
yeah, that's for sure. I recently got a new job that I thought was just going to blow my mind. Not saying I hate it, but it has not blown my mind. And I talked to
Is
people.
it the people you work with? Let's talk some shit. Will they listen to this?
Well, she works with children, so we
I
should
love
probably
the
not
children.
talk shit about the children.
No, it's just the system and the way things work with productivity and, just the actual, like, sitting back and thinking, like, is this effective? Things like that. But it's just interesting because it makes me want to talk to all my coworkers. Like, hey, did you know you could do this on the side? I even talked to my boss about her. I'm like, hey, do you know you could do this? She's like, you are such a hustler. And I'm like, I haven't hustled at all yet, but you could.
Well, you drove Uber,
I did.
so you do have some side
I did.
hustle.
But it's just,
That's
it's just
great.
and
I'm
then-
excited for you. I feel like it's going to be cool to watch as a not watch, but listen to as a listener. I feel like big shifts are going to happen, even if at the time they might not feel so big to you. Like, I think this is going to be really interesting to see where you're at. I want to come back on your 2-year anniversary and see where you are then.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. Hopefully somewhere else.
That's why I continue to do real estate, because real estate's what I do for my day gig, I guess, whatever. And it allows you to make your life kind of revolve around, or your job revolve around your life, I guess, to a certain extent,
Amazing.
Yeah.
So,
And tell them about the new things you learned with real estate.
you mean the property management?
Well, yeah, but also the ancillary things that you. So there's other ancillary
I'm
things
finding
you can do,
there's some ancillary things that I can add on, through real estate. So,
which is really cool.
like there's alarm companies, so I can tell people about an alarm company. If they end up signing up for the alarm, I can make some, what is it? Affiliate?
Affiliate. That's the word I was thinking of.
Affiliate money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's always affiliate money, with like podcasts and stuff, but I had no idea. It kind of like broke my mind that there was affiliate money with real estate. And I'd never thought about that. And I've been doing real estate for a long time. And it just dawned on me all of a sudden. I'm like, oh my gosh, what else can I find? And then there is like home warranties, and there's other additional things that will pay you like affiliate money if you help at least introduce their products to people.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot, because it is, there's a lot of opportunity. And obviously, like anything where there's a lot of opportunity to make money and everything, there's a lot of snakes and a lot of bullshit and a lot of snake oil, all that stuff. But I think everyone should also, almost everyone should look into affiliate money in their jobs, because in so many things these days, especially like for us, I mean, we make, I couldn't even think off the top of my head, but say from one product alone, the main website company. And here's the thing, I'll tell everyone the key to doing this, or at least I shouldn't preach like that, but what we think is the key to really making money is to only recommend products that you believe in and that you love. And the reason that's the key, not just because ethically it's the correct thing to do, but because it'll fall down quick and come back to bite you. If, say, you recommend a Ford and someone sees you driving something else,
Right.
and they'll be like, whoa, you told me to buy this. And, so, but from our one main product that we teach, and so we recommend it, we probably make like 8,000 or 9,000 a month.
Holy crap.
That's amazing.
That's impressive.
Right.
It's a tech product, so the payout is quite big. I think it's $200 or $300 per person that signs up, recurring per month.
Wow.
That is amazing.
Yeah, for the first. So the way it works is so we get that recurring for the first, I think it's 6 months, and then that's when the cutoff is for them. They either have to get it for life or kind of give it up. And so then if they get it for life, we get one more payout, and then it stops. Something like that. But yeah, the point was anyway, whatever it is that you're doing, you should definitely look into, the products that you truly believe in, and if there are rewards programs, because a lot of companies do them. And even if they don't necessarily are not really forthright about it, they're not really forthcoming with that info, they'll generally hook something up if you go and ask them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and it was the same kind of thing for me. I didn't want to sell anything because I didn't want to feel like snaky or anything, But I mean, the reality is that over 40% of the people that buy a home get an alarm system. So there's no reason why I can't turn them on to the guy that I know. Like, hey, you can get stuff. He works with multiple different brands. If you want ADT, if you want a Simply Safe, whatever it is, he can hook you up with whatever brand that you like. And if there's a 40% chance you're going to get it, why shouldn't I make a little ancillary income off of it anyways, So, and it's the same thing with home warranties. I believe in home warranties and I believe in the value of them. But it's just like,
absolutely.
I kind of felt snaky, but then I started kind of telling myself, I'm like, there's not really anything wrong with it. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not selling them something that's not going to benefit them.
Right. They're all going to need that for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think there's two more, not different ways to look at it, but two things to remember when you're doing it. One is, if you were in that position, like if it's genuine value, would you not want to know? Like if you're buying a house and you're thinking, all right, now I've got to, okay, so here's actually a great example. We just today, although over the last 2 days we picked up today, we just bought a car and we take it to a mechanic to get it checked out and everything. And he's great. He's a friend of a friend, so we trust him. And we were in our head, we were thinking like this is just a mechanic. We knew it needed new tires. We knew that the guy that we bought it off told us. And so we were like, we're brand new in Panama. We don't know where anything is. And we were thinking, we need to now find someone that just does tires and try getting new tires because this guy doesn't offer tires. Anyway, he, like yesterday afternoon, as he was doing like an oil change, he goes, hey, I noticed the tires are getting pretty bald. My brother-in-law has a tire place around the corner. Now, you could, like, some people might look at that and go, a bit sketchy, now I want to go do my own research, and I get that. But I really appreciated it because, one, I don't know what I'm looking for. I don't know anything about cars, tires, anything like that. This guy did me a real solid by hooking me up with a very valuable product.
And you're new to the area.
New to the area, didn't know. I would have had to start, researching myself, So like if you were buying a house and you would appreciate it if someone said, hey, Jason, just while you get this, there's also this product.
Yeah.
Then, man, if you would appreciate it, you should never feel bad about it. And the other thing is, it's like, because we do it obviously with the affiliate stuff. And I feel like it's like, if someone, like you drop your wallet and you don't realize, and someone's calling out and they're like, hey, and you're like, leave me alone, I've got to be somewhere. And they're like, no, you drop your wallet.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
Man, sorry, I was just in a hurry, thanks. It's like they're that guy. They're the guy that's dropped their wallet. They don't know you're trying to do something good for them. And, maybe they'll leave without ever turning around but maybe they'll turn around and once they realize that you're just trying to help and do them a solid, they'll be like, oh, fuck, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I say that's really what I gained from it. What have you kind of gained, Jason?
Well, I mean, like I said, I really like the meeting different people. I like the fact that we get to meet people that we would never get to meet. We get to meet you. We get to learn about your program. We get to meet Tom Pollard, and he is climbing Everest, and he's, doing
Tom Pollard and Everest. Here we go again.
But he does crazy, amazing things. This guy is fascinating to talk to, and I would never get to meet this guy. My whole life, I would never get to meet somebody like this.
Right.
The lady that we had first on the show, Mia Lorenzo, she's a 3-time Emmy Award winner, and she comes on our show, so she's regional Emmy, but hey, it's still Emmys, So, I mean, it's still really cool stuff, and it's really cool people.
Hell yeah.
We would never get a chance to meet. We would never find these people if we didn't do this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
that's amazing.
That to me is worth the price of admission all by itself.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and the thing is, as well, like you get to meet them, but you also, because of the way that the format of the podcast is, you get to have a conversation with them that's real and about, you get to cut through the small talk, Sometimes you might have met her, I don't know, in a bar or through a friend. Hi, how are you? Oh, nice. Very nice to meet you. Have a wonderful night.
And that's it.
And that's kind of it.
Yeah.
Whereas you sit down on a podcast and both sides of the podcast understand that you want to talk about stuff that's interesting for the listeners. So we're going to put a little bit of thought into what we say. And it's a great format for having those conversations.
Well, and we had Jess Lindgren on. What was Jess's show called? Do you remember?
I'd have to. Oh,
You'd have to go
she
back
was solo travel.
Yeah, she was their solo travel expert. Yeah. So we had Jess Lindgren on, and she is an executive personal assistant. And she says, I get people all the time that want to talk to me about being executive personal assistant and business things and asking questions about business. She's like, nobody ever asks me about travel. She's like, I love to talk about that. She was so thrilled to come on the show. And it's like we had this connection, and like most people would approach her that way, like, hey, can you tell me about business? Can you hook me up with so-and-so? Can we do this? And we're like, no, let's just chat about travel.
Yeah.
Just tell us about what you dig. What are you into,
Yeah.
That's amazing.
And then her thing was solo travel. So then it made it for a fascinating episode because she gets to tell us about how she goes all over the place. She's got a significant other, but they a lot of times they don't travel together. So she gets to do these things, and she really enjoys doing personal solo travel. And I think it's part of the thrill of it, of traveling alone, kind of as a female,
For sure. And
I'm so interested now. I'm going to go back and look up that episode. That sounds incredibly interesting.
Yeah.
It was really good. I think that's one thing too that I've become like, I did not think this was going to happen, but I've been kind of the person to reach out mainly and get guests, and how happy people are that someone wants to hear their story.
Yeah.
Like they are just incredibly, excited to come on the show, and just like, bend their schedule for us, or, or lenient when we have schedule changes. And like people are just so down. And then like, I've never met like most of the people on the show in person, and they're just ready to tell you their story. And, because we chat a lot before the podcast and after the actual podcast, and people will tell us like really personal things that, it's like, it just reminds you that we're all human. Like from somebody from Jess Lindgren to like anyone, you could be
to Nathan,
you could be like an executive assistant, you could be climbing mountains, you could be living in Bali, like whatever, but we're all humans, and we all have a story that needs to be told, or that everyone can value from your story. And I think that's something I've really liked too.
And I was just like wondering, as you say that, I'd never considered, like I just said, how podcasts are such a format that you both put a lot of thought into what you're saying, but I'd never really considered before. But it's also, it feels, and maybe it's not because it's going out to the public, but it feels like a good safety net. Like, you guys are like, both sides here are no one's trying to be a dick, you know. It's like not like
Yeah.
I'm worried about telling you guys something because you're going to try to exploit it, or you know, like I know what your motives are and they're to put out a good podcast. So I'm really comfortable being like, oh, this and that, and I got you know, whatever. It's quite a safe environment to open up and have these conversations.
It's a little bit therapeutic. Yeah, I agree.
It really is. Yeah. I went on a podcast. I've only been on one other podcast about grief and shared a story that I had.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, it was pretty scary at first when it, like, she was like, it's going to come out this week. And I remember being so scared. I was like, who's going to hear this? And I haven't promoted it, like, on my page or anything just because it
was personal, yeah.
Personal, but it was also therapeutic. It was very nice to tell the story, even if I didn't know who was going to hear it, you know? That was kind of nice.
I bet it was.
Yeah. So I bet a lot of guests probably feel the same.
And it was, you know, about a friend of hers who passed away. So it's like it's one of those deep things that, you know, it's good for you. It's therapeutic. It's good for you to talk about.
Yeah. And it was amazing
Absolutely.
how easy it flowed too when we were talking. It wasn't like I was scared in the moment. It was just like,
well, and that's when people can relate to you. Everybody hates being vulnerable, but that's when people relate to you because that's when they're, you know, like, oh my gosh, I had that happen and I had such a hard time dealing with it. And oh, she tried this, you know, maybe I'll try that. And, you know, I think everybody's so scared to share things, but I think if you find the real visceral connections in life, they're when you share things that are personal that you don't almost 100% feel comfortable sharing with people.
For sure.
And that's when you make the deepest connection.
Like, don't do that.
Absolutely. And, you know, another crazy example that just happened with this launch of the new product that we just did. So part of the Asana course is there's a part in there that covers a theory called Be, Do, Have. I won't try to cover the whole thing. Everyone should look it up, though. It's phenomenal. We believe in it 100%. And it's the basic principle of it is you try to embody who you want to be in 12 months from now, a year, 2 years, 5 years, and make decisions as that person. Because we often do this thing where we're like, oh, if I'm going to do this now, and then it's going to, like, the way we imagine things unfolding is often backwards. You know, we might be like, okay, I don't have, you know, I'm not going to get this training right now. I'll get that when I have the money. But it's like, well, if you don't do this training, you're never going to get the money. You know, so anyway, the point was just as we were kind of laying out this foundation of what we believe in Be, Do, Have, for the first time in the 3.5 years that we've had this business, Louise had to talk about her brother Tim and his autism. And it's not something she's ever shied away from. We're very open about it. But we'd never really brought it up within the business just because Louise never wanted to come across like she was exploiting that for marketing because that, you know, can be a common thing. So just within, you know, the small student body of people that had already bought in and in this safe little environment, Louise opened up and told, because the Be, Do, Have thing is like, okay, so what drives you? Who are you making decisions as? And Louise makes a lot of her business decisions and spending decisions and all of our decisions on already having Tim, her brother, live with us and us taking care of him. Yeah. So she had to say that. It was insane. The response that she got, that she'd been, you know, she was so scared for years how people would take it. Turns out, so we had 129 people, students sign up, I'm pretty sure it was. There was like at least like a solid little handful that all had their own stories of family with autism that they wanted to help. Some women or some men, like people had children or brothers, sisters, like all this stuff. And what actually happened in the group was like everyone's there to learn to advance their business. And that is something that they get. That's what they pay for. But then all of a sudden, everyone is like, checking on each other outside of business, like, hey, like people that have never met only through this course. And they're like, hey, you know, like you said, you're working on this. How's it going? Like, can I help at all? Like whole 129 total strangers that only know each other's avatars over Facebook because there's a Facebook group. That's where they hold it all. And they're all connecting because people started sharing and opening up, all because Louise did. Louise opened up. More people did. All of a sudden, you got 129 people that you'd think all went to school together or something. It's magic. It's beautiful. It's great. We all need more of it in our lives.
I completely agree. So that's what I'm always looking for is how do you create closer connections like that? I feel like everything in the world now is so divisive. And so, oh, you're Democrat, I'm Republican. You're, pro-abortion, I'm anti-abortion, whatever. And there's so many, polar opposite issues like that everybody kind of gets into their own camps and nobody wants to talk to each other. And that's what that's what I like about the podcast, because it's like there's nothing political about it. There's nothing political about travel. Everybody loves it. Well, most people love it. I guess everybody doesn't love it, but how can we all come together and have something in common and enjoy each other and forget about the boundaries, the self-imposed boundaries that we put on ourselves as a society,
Right. Well, and also with a podcast, if you come across something that you disagree on, neither of you, you don't want to be a dick. So no one's just going to be like, all right, we disagree, so I'm leaving. Bye.
Right.
You're kind of already in a position where you're like, all right, there's people listening. I have to be an adult and talk this through, which is what should actually happen in real life as well.
Being an adult is a powerful thing, man.
Hey, it's something too many people forget to do, and it's crazy.
Especially on the internet, man. Everybody feels like they can say anything to anybody on the internet. If it's on Facebook, it's like everything's fair game, and I don't quite understand that.
Yeah.
No, it's wrong. I feel like social media has now, I think there were things that were acceptable a couple of years ago that I'm really getting fed up with, and I think that the world has had social media long enough. It's not in its infancy anymore. We need to have by now worked out how we should treat each other on social media.
Yeah,
I get when it first came around, no one really knew the power. No one knew that you could say something and, it would go around the world and you might lose your job. And we didn't get that. Whereas now it's 2020, we get that. We also understand a lot more now than we ever did about online bullying. We definitely have to be better with how we treat each other over the internet.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on the bullying thing too. Bullying's bad enough in schools and stuff like that, but the online stuff can be relentless, and it's in your life, 24/7. It's just like it's one thing if you're getting bullied at school, you leave school and you go home, and you can maybe have time with your family or something where at least you're not getting abused. But then if you get this cyberbullying, it's 24-hour a day bullying. It's 24-hour a day abuse.
For sure.
Yeah, I think also there's. So that's all the stuff that's coming from outside, people, what other people are saying and that. And we definitely need to be better with the things that we say and put out. But we also, it is 2020. It's not new anymore. It's not a shiny toy. Yeah. We also need to put it down a little bit, stop looking at it so much. All phones now have apps on them natively, most phones anyway, that'll tell you how much screen time you're having with stuff.
Yeah.
If you're having crazy screen time, all you got to do is you got to find something else to do. And if you don't know what, that's
a problem.
What you do. No, that's what you do. If you don't know what else you could be doing, your first job is to answer that question.
Yeah.
It's no good just saying, oh, I don't really know what else I could be doing. I'm just, I'm only scrolling while I sit waiting for the bus or whatever. If you don't know the answer to that question, that's the first thing. Go type into Google, what else could I be doing with my life other than scrolling on my phone?
Right.
For sure. Go talk to someone.
If you haven't looked on your phone, if you have an iPhone especially, I don't know about all the other things. I have an iPhone. And if you haven't looked on your iPhone and looked at your screen time, you should go and do that. I was going to say right now, but as soon as this show's over, you should go and look at it. And it honestly, it makes you sick. I mean, it did me. I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. I'm on here 7 hours a day or something. It's like, that's insane.
So I'm just looking at mine now and it's embarrassing.
What is it?
But I do want to
Tell
say
us.
I sat around for most of today waiting on a car to get fixed. However, that's so hypocritical because there's a lot of stuff I'm about to go on holiday up to Costa Rica. I could have been researching that. I could have done a lot more, but I have 3 hours and 49 minutes of social networking today.
Right.
Actually, that's
so
probably
I got to
pretty
practice
light.
what I preach. That's disgusting.
And so how much total time? Is that just social media or is that total? What's your total time?
Oh no, 6 hours total time. But
Yeah.
so I've got 2 hours and 10 minutes of productivity, 15 minutes of reading and reference, and then the rest is social media.
Yeah, because I'm telling you, I checked mine and it was like 7 hours. I'm like, how am I possibly looking at this thing 7 hours a day? That's insane.
Well, yeah,
That's a lot of time.
I feel like it adds up quick. Like it's kind of bizarre. Actually, I never really. So when I was in Indonesia, I read a article years and years ago about how they use social media. Indonesian people use social media more than anyone in the world. Adults on average are on social media for 11 hours a day, every day.
Oh my goodness.
And at the time I was like, holy shit, that's impossible. Like that's bizarre. But then when I finally upgraded my phone, this was a few years back, when I finally got a new phone and could see my screen time, I was like, holy crap, without even trying, I'm doing 3 hours.
Yep.
Like, without even, and yeah.
And it's addictive too, because I gave up my Facebook for like 8 months last year and it was beautiful. And then I think one day I went on there to look something up and I'm on it every day now, like every day.
Are you thinking about dropping it again?
I would like to drop it. But I mean, it's how I talk, like connect with a lot of guests and things like that. So I think that's why I picked it back.
That's what's tough. Like,
but yeah,
well, I was just
that's
gonna say
my excuse too. But you can definitely get rid of all that and only have Messenger, or you can do what I did at the start of last year. And I need to do this again because, as we just heard, I'm a huge hypocrite about this. But this worked for me. If you delete Facebook, like just delete all the apps and everything and deactivate your account, it means that every time you want to sign in, one, you can only do it on your laptop, so then you're not like sitting around on your phone scrolling, you're only and it's also just a little bit more of a barrier where you need to like go sign in. There's like just 1 or 2 extra pages and it just feels like a little more of a barrier. That worked a lot for me. I don't know if that'll work for anyone else, but getting it off my phone and deactivating the account whenever I wasn't using it helped a lot.
That's a great idea. I like that.
You also don't come back to like, 30 notifications or anything,
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
That's a really good one. Yeah, if you can only use it in one spot, that definitely keeps you from just wasting your life away on your phone.
Mm-hmm. That's very true.
Because you're definitely going to sit there a lot less time if you have to actually sit in front of a computer at a desk.
Yeah.
As opposed to just sitting on the couch and, we're at work.
Something else that I'll do,
sure.
like if I go out with my daughter, like we had went today to go do some things together and I took my work phone instead of my personal phone because there's nothing on my work phone.
Yeah.
But that way if I need to call someone or look at the time, I mean, I don't have any apps on there. There's texting, but only work people. Boring.
You know what? Like just like for listeners or anyone that might not have a work phone, you can get for $20 or $30, you can get like a little old phone, like a Nokia brick or whatever the model was. And just put a SIM card in it and just have like a prepaid $10 on there in case of emergencies and only take that out. There's a lot of things you can do if you just decide that you're willing to, put the phone down a little.
That's a great idea.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah.
You all right over there? You ain't got no corona, do you?
God. Speaking of, okay. I got to watch what I say here because we just mentioned about bullying. But having said that, this is even hard and kind of embarrassing to bring up. Have you seen what's happening in Australia with toilet paper?
No.
No, I don't think I have.
Okay, I don't know, listeners, I don't know when you're listening to this, but you'll still be able to Google it. Right now, because of the coronavirus in Australia, I don't know who started it. Something went around, I don't know if it was even proper mainstream media, but something went around where, for some reason, the vast majority of Australia thinks that trade with China is about to be cut off because of the coronavirus. And so everyone, I don't know why, this is hard to say, everyone has gone out and stocked up on toilet paper.
Okay.
Not food, which you need if you're going to need toilet paper. Not food, not water, not fuel, not medical toilet paper. If you look online right now, there are huge discussions, debates. It's all in politics and everything because, like, you don't think about it, but the effects. So everyone stocks up on toilet paper. It's literally gone off of every shelf in Australia. So then what do people do next? They start buying other things such as baby wipes. So there are people, for example, I know a girl, she's got a 10-week-old child, and she's on Facebook asking people if she can buy baby wipes because she needs another like sanitary products for her 10-week-old child.
Oh.
You know, it seemed like at first it's like this funny, like, haha, silly little Australians stocking up on toilet paper. But the ramifications of it, it's crazy. And this is an entire country of, I mean, they're Australians, so they're not that intelligent, but adults, this is an entire country of people that should have a reasonable IQ level, and they're stocking up on toilet paper. It's baffling. Toilet paper.
Does the toilet paper come from China? It doesn't come from China, does it?
You're laughing because you can see me in the video.
Right,
I'm about to lose my shit. Australia, there's definitely brands of everything in Australia that comes from China. But the majority of toilet paper is manufactured in Australia.
Right.
The majority of toilet paper that Australians use. We're not exporting it. I imagine most countries that have a tree and a fucking chainsaw make their own toilet paper.
That's what I was thinking. I'm like, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'd have to go look at my toilet paper, but I'm pretty sure it's made relatively locally.
I mean, toilet paper is important. It's close to my heart.
Let me tell you something. When you go travel Southeast Asia, toilet paper is going to get a lot less important.
Oh, no.
Those 3 fingers on the outside of your hand.
Oh!
Grow those nails.
See, that is what I try to avoid.
All part of the experience.
So, okay. So, speaking of Corona, are you letting that curtail your travel at all, or do you just continue as normal?
I am not in any way. I feel like, I mean, I wasn't planning on going to China, and if I was planning before, I would probably research going to China. All I've done is I've researched what I should about where I plan on going, which is Costa Rica, and perhaps up to Mexico right after that. But so I look into that, what are the chances, and like I feel safe. And, you know, coronavirus itself, I think there's a lot of facts, like any time something like this happens, it's a lot of facts that people are skewing, and, you know, people have lost their lives. And I'm not trying to say it's not serious, but there are some very solid statistics about the sort of people that it's affecting, particularly old people, which is always sad. But, you know, for me, I'm 35, reasonably healthy. Is there zero chance? No. But, you know, I feel safe, coupled with the fact of where I'm going. There's currently no recorded cases of it. Like, there's no point planning a trip to Costa Rica and reading up on what's going in China.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to drive?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Because it's right next door, right?
Straight across the border. Yeah, we just got the car today. So we got like a nice, reasonable size 4-wheel drive. We can cross the country in. Yeah, we're pumped.
So what kind of car did you get, by the way?
We got a Nissan X-Trail.
X-Trail? Do they have those in America?
Don't look at me. I know nothing.
I don't know why I just looked at Nicole.
I know 0 things.
That doesn't sound familiar to me.
I have no idea if they have it in America. They definitely have them in Australia, but who cares? Because Australia.
That's Australia.
Are you ever going to go back to Australia, by the way? Do you think you'll ever live there again? Or
I can't imagine why I would. I can always go back on holiday, visit friends, family. I'd love to go back and travel, but I've lived in every big city in Oz, and I've lived in a lot of country towns around those big cities. I've traveled it quite extensively. Love it. Phenomenal place. It's definitely not a knock on Australia, but, you know, the world is so big, and I want to see more of it. So Yeah, I don't imagine I'll ever end up spending too much time back there outside of family engagements and stuff like that.
Okay.
So I just looked up your X Trail, by the way, and in America, this is called a Nissan Pathfinder.
Oh,
So it's
I know
basically a
that.
Pathfinder.
Okay.
Nice. I know that one.
I don't know why they have different names in different areas.
I didn't realize that.
I don't know what the deal with that
Marketing.
But
Marketing. You Americans.
I need a Pathfinder. I don't want an X Trail. I need to
What's
find
an
a
X
path.
Trail?
that's what I was thinking. That's how close-minded are we?
I need to
we
find
are.
a path and travel it.
We
I need to conquer it.
What's an X Trail?
Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. All right.
So wait, where do you guys? What's the general consensus on coronavirus where you guys are? Is anyone freaking out? How do you guys feel about it?
Well, I did see a news story the other day that like the Costco and places like that are selling out of like baby wipes and sanitizer and stuff like that. I didn't see anything about toilet paper, but there are products they were showing, like all the baby wipes and like all these boxes where they were all just empty and they had a massive line going around the store. So it's kind of in its infancy, I guess, in the U.S. currently. So, and we are doing this interview on March 4th. So if you guys need a time reference, that's when we're doing it. So it's relatively new here, and I don't know how many people. We've only had like a handful of people die.
I thought it was 8.
And I think there's 100 people that have been infected at this point.
I want to say 8 people.
So,
I mean, I don't know.
Nicole's super concerned about it.
I don't know. I get my daily news from Jason. I don't watch the news. So
Neither
basically,
do I.
And I get my daily news from Facebook.
basically I come over and then he just like tells me all the things. So
Like, did you see more people died in Washington State today? She's like, no.
I'm like, oh, cool. From what? I don't even know.
Trying not to look.
Right?
But the one thing I did read the other day that I thought was really cool, excuse me, as a joke, was a cool perspective. They were saying that like the smog and the fog like over China, how it has reduced since the coronavirus.
That was interesting.
Yeah, because basically like things are shutting down, and like the moment things shut down as far as factories and things like that, like how much less like pollution and things were happening. So
Yeah.
I thought, I don't know, I've seen some like that's not positive because we don't want people to have a virus, but I've seen some positive things out there actually. So not all terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible news
It's
things.
definitely a mixed bag. I mean, does the Earth need a break from, the amount of pollution we're putting out? Fuck yes.
Oh my gosh.
But the ramifications of China shutting down for a bit, like this could actually, I was reading another article that basically covered all that. And yeah, that's great for the environment, but this could really cause a huge worldwide recession.
Yeah,
true.
they're concerned about that in the U.S. And as a matter of fact, the president here seems rather concerned about that. And that seems to be a larger concern of his than it does almost about the virus. He urged the Fed to cut the interest rate like a quarter point. And I think they did an interest rate reduction in Australia as well. So there's definitely places where they seem to be very concerned about it, and they're trying to hedge against it a little bit by, lowering interest rates. But I think that's only going to be so effective.
I don't know too much about it, but from what I was reading, if China's shut down even for a day, it's not great. If it's shut down for as long as it has been now, it could be catastrophic. So I guess we'll see what pans out. I'm not bothered about it. I don't think anyone else should be. If things get really, really fucking bad, just go to the beach.
Right?
Yes.
I like that idea.
I don't know if it's putting my head in the sand or optimism, but in my mind, I was like, ooh, maybe this means we'll think of something new, like a new way to produce things cheaply, or like,
Hell yeah.
it'll
Locally.
cause people to have to open their minds to different things. That's what I was thinking, but
Absolutely.
probably not.
And you know what? No, I think you're spot on. But the thing is, for people like us, like we're not the ones that need to think of, like there are some phenomenal minds out there that need to come up with some new ideas on how to build and make and do all this stuff. Mm-hmm. For people like us, ignorance really is bliss.
Yeah.
Like it's bliss. Like I'm just going to go over here, put my head in the sand,
Yeah.
and just fucking tap me on the shoulder when it's time to, eat some more food from China or something. Like, when everything's good, let me know. Hopefully you guys have figured out a better system and this doesn't happen again.
Yeah.
Do you know who Jeff Bezos is?
He's my uncle.
Well, that's fortunate for you.
No, I wish. Yeah, I know who Jeff Bezos is.
Well, and he donated $10 billion to try to figure out a way to combat climate change. Did you hear about that?
He didn't. All that happened was he dropped his wallet and $10 billion fell out and someone went, yay, climate change. That's all that happened.
I mean,
that was his drinking money.
We've got to figure something out, though. So I'm glad somebody, even if it's from the private sector, is trying to figure something out. There's got to be some kind of solution. We can't continue in the direction we're going. Yeah,
no, you're 100% right. And Bezos, I have read about that before. I think there's actually more people doing good work and funding good research. I mean, you look at the Gates Foundation and everything that they've done, basically wiped out, I think it was polio. One of them, polio was ages ago. What am I talking about?
Yeah.
I'm going to research it now while we're on here.
Right.
They wiped out something.
Polio was a vaccine.
I'll research it while we talk. My point was just, I feel like there are a lot of people with money that are doing more than we hear about because people have some insane abundance in their life and it's nothing for them to put money into, things that are going to make the world better.
Yeah, very true.
Are you looking it up for me or do I need to look it up?
I'm trying to see what I can find. I think their foundation does work mainly on like diseases. I think that's trying to stop diseases.
They wiped something out. I saw him talking about Don Ellen.
On Ellen.
Yeah.
So it must be true.
I know one guy that we did interview. Has Vasan's episode come out yet, Jason?
No.
Okay, so it hasn't come out yet, but it's one guy and he somehow funds himself to go to different communities and basically help them have more like sustainable living situations, basically.
Yeah.
And has no money, like just has a suitcase and is just going around doing like amazing things.
He literally lives his life out of like a backpack and off of $300 a month.
$300,
wow.
Yep.
And I don't know how he does it, quite honestly. And he goes to like impoverished villages, like out in the middle of nowhere, and they'll be like, "You don't have toilets? Let's build toilets. You don't have a trash collection system? Let's make that happen."
Yeah.
And he works with like the village elders to help them come up with their own solution. So it's not like some foreigner coming in like, "You guys need to do things this way."
Yeah.
Let's figure this out. How do we come up with a solution to this that you guys can then run with, and keep it going on your own. You don't need me or my help, and you don't need big government's help. You can do this on your own.
Yeah. So it's cool to see like even little things like that where people are doing things like, okay, a lot of people are dropping their wallets and bunches falling out, and then there's a guy who's making nothing.
Trying to change the world on $300 a month.
Because we were like, how do you live? And he was just like, I don't know.
And then he said he lives with the people, so he like lives with the people in like huts, and he eats whatever they eat, and so that's part of it. Is there's no travel expenses. Well, there's travel expenses, but there's no living expenses. There's no food expenses. He like immerses himself in the village and lives just like they do. So if they sleep on a dirt floor, he sleeps on a dirt floor.
Yeah.
Right. I actually have a guy. I recorded half of the podcast. When was it? 2 or 3 days ago. And then we had technical problems, but I'm recording a podcast at the moment with a guy named Drew Strunke, who is an ex-Australian Army doctor who left the doctor and he started, so there's a foundation in Australia called the Backpacker Medics, and under their umbrella, him and another friend who was also ex-Army started a foundation called the Backpacker Medics Crisis Response Group. And what they do, they're fully self-funded. And basically because both of them have done tours overseas with the Army and like been in some really heavy situations. So what they do is they go into crisis areas like as the shit's going down. Like these guys are real GI Joes, but they basically go in there and start doing medical aid work, and all for, like, as I said, self-funded. So, but yeah, true heroes, like modern day superheroes that fly into these places.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think there are a lot of great people out there, you know. I mean, anyone smart enough like Bezos to make $1 billion is smart enough to know that we're not going to another planet anytime soon,
Right.
and we need to fucking take care of this one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Get our shit
I
together.
love Elon Musk, but yeah, he's dreaming on a whole nother level, man. We're all going to go to Mars and live on Mars.
But I think though, like, I haven't actually seen much of him. I hear what everyone else hears, but when I saw him on Joe Rogan, he even admitted that, you know, unless we have some insane breakthrough, it's not going to happen soon. You know, and like he talks about it because I think he's trying to speak it into existence. But when really pressed on it, you know, when Joe's like, all right, I need something, like, how close are we? He was kind of like, yeah, we're same with flying cars. He's like, well, we're not as close as, you know, like, unless we have some big breakthroughs, we're not going to another fucking planet.
Yeah. I did go on a private tour at NASA, which is in another episode. The NASA episodes, part 1, 2, and 3, I believe. And they were talking about, like, we went to the food labs, okay, and they are trying to design food in 3 different phases right now. So they're trying to get food that, like, the astronauts can, like, have, like, on the shuttle and, like, maybe, like, supplement it with, like, herbs and stuff like that. So they have, like, some fresh stuff that kind of, it's more for, like, a morale boost, so they can, like, you know, feel like a little touches of home, like maybe fresh basil, fresh, you know, pot, something, you know. And then the next level is we want to set up like a moon colony, okay? And then they want to figure out how can they grow stuff on the moon. So that would be a little more long term, you know. The stuff on the shuttle would be very temporary. A little more long term would be the moon. And then they want to use the moon as like a launch board to do a Mars expedition. And they were like, and then if we set up a colony on Mars, there has to be long-term, like, space farming. So then they have stuff that they're working on so they can have long-term food on Mars, and that you would be, you know, that would be like a job that you would have there, because you would go there for like 9 months and you would, like, be like a space farmer. You would, like, tend to crops and stuff like that, and that might be your job if you went there. So it was very interesting to see that they really have a plan formulated. So it is something that's on the drawing boards, but it's still pretty far away.
Yeah.
It's still pretty far away, and it's still far enough away that, you know, we're going to have to deal with the effects of the amount of pollution we're putting out into the world.
Yep.
For sure.
You know? I mean, yeah, you know, a lot of people are already dealing with it. You know, people talk about, you know, and you can get right into whether or not you think climate change is real or not, but regardless of whether it is or isn't, there are people in places that didn't used to flood that are now flooding, and they can't live there anymore, and they need to move. You know,
For sure.
Like, as I said, regardless of what you believe about all that other stuff, there's stuff like that that's real and it's happening.
Yeah, there are definitely facts. So it seems like the climate deniers have moved from, okay, this isn't real, to, well, we don't really think it's man-made. So, but you've got to look at, like, history and how much all this stuff has just skyrocketed recently, and in the last 100 years since we've come up with cars and the industrial age. And I mean, you kind of can't deny that to me. It's like, you know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the cool thing I think about travel is, like, whether you believe it's man-made or not, you're still seeing, when you travel, you see people who are affected. So you want to make a change. I mean, eventually that's softening your heart to make a change, whether it be we're just going to do something that's going to help us as a planet, or we're going to do something to change what we've done.
Yeah.
Because you're going to see the people in the flood places. You're going to see, you know, maybe people who, or animals that aren't going to be around anymore, or whatever different changes there are. You're going to be seeing that face to face. And so you're more likely to want to do a change no matter what you believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. You know, there's a big way in which school fails us. And I think it's my theory on why we have so many, I'll keep it nice, ridiculous people that believe in, like, I don't know, flat earth and stuff like that. and what it is teaching people to start with an answer and then find facts to support it. It's the wrong way around.
Right.
And I understand why at different stages we have to be taught that, but there's too much of an emphasis on it. You're supposed to start with the problem or with the question and nothing else. Yeah, and then go about figuring it out, because the only way, like, okay, if you're someone that's listening and you believe in something, and it doesn't matter what it is, it can be something that everyone agrees on, and you can, struggle to find someone that disagrees. Like, say you go into a conversation about the sky being blue. Is the sky blue? But try to, if you frame your questions as though you actually don't know the answer and you're not trying to get to any answer and you just want to have a conversation and see how other people feel, the answers that you'll get from each different person are going to be different, because they're all skewed by the conclusion that they started with and the facts that they went and found to make that real, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
People go, okay, I believe the earth is flat. For whatever reason, I've been motivated to believe that. Now I'm going to look for the supporting evidence to make that true. And I'm going to forget her name. There's a lady that gives this incredible TED talk a while ago, and basically she's not talking about it from that perspective, but she's talking about how we all should do what's it called, when you sit and you envision what your future should be and everything, and basically what she's saying is we all wire our brains to function a certain way, and when you visualization. So she says if you sit and visualize your life a certain way, you will actually train your brain to look for evidence to support that, even if it's not there. This is why some people get caught in a negative mindset or a positive mindset, even if things are going bad or they're going good, because they've trained their brain, no matter what shit is going on, no matter how bad it is, they've wired their brain to only look for the positive evidence to support them as a person. And we all do it with everything, whether it's visualizing where we should be in 5 years, coming up with theories to support whether or not we think climate change is real. We wire our brain into looking for certain things and ignoring other things. Yep. And if you really want to be open-minded, and if you really care about the truth, the first thing you need to do is start by breaking that whole system down, having a question with no agenda, no preconceived notion of what you want the answer to be, and just opening up the doors to whatever may come. And it's tough. As I said, we all do it. I know I do. But, that's the real way to get to the truth.
I try to force myself to be open to other people's opinions, because I try to be cognizant that it's easy to do that. It's easy to look for what you want to hear. Mm-hmm.
I think
absolutely.
I giggled a little bit when you said that, because I never thought about it in a positive way. But
what do you mean?
He was basically Nathan saying you can think of it negatively or positively. So you might have your mindset stuck negatively. That's what you always hear about. Oh, don't be negative, be positive, think positively. But I didn't think about it being, how it messes up your conception when you go positive to everything. When
For sure.
Because I can definitely see myself falling in that trap, probably 75% of the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure, they're not going to do that. They're great. I could definitely see. Then I just maybe giggle.
But see, that's where ignorance is bliss. Mm-hmm. And my question would be, and because there's definitely times where that can hurt you, but overall, I think overall balance is the goal. But if you're going to lean a certain way, I'd rather hear that you lean positive than negative.
Right. Yeah, mm-hmm. I agree with that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You think you lean too positive?
Don't look at me like that.
No, just ask it.
I think in the things that I want, yes, I think I lean that way sometimes.
Well, I had this happen. I got a client that I'm working with right now, and we've got a house that we're supposed to close on. We're actually supposed to close on this Friday, and they're trying to do a bunch of work, and they got contractors working over there. And I keep warning him. I kept like cautioning him, like this, may not be done. And they've already moved out of their apartment, and I'm like, you need to have a backup plan because we might not be able to close on time. I don't think, And he just kept going. He just kept this. He's just like, I just wanted to have a positive mindset, and then we went over there and checked it today, and there's like freaking nothing. It's like, and I'm like, dude, I don't think this is gonna close on time, And he's like, I just like he was trying to will it into existence with positive thinking.
Yes.
And I'm like, I get you, but that's why I try to keep the reality in it, because I don't want you to have no backup plan and be like, well, crap, now where am I gonna live?
Yeah. That's definitely me. Like, oh, we're probably gonna close a little bit early.
Right.
Like, it's gonna happen. Like, I don't know.
Oh, I'm like, as I said, I guess for me, I'm trying to work out the places in my life where that's okay. Like when I deal with other people, I don't really even want to be balanced. I want to lean positive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In my dealings with, meeting new people, I don't really want to be balanced. I want to lean positive. I want to, think everything's going to be great. Being neutral would be going into everything, as open-minded as possible and having no expectations or even hopes that it would be great or bad or whatever. I don't really want to be that in my dealings with other people. I want to go into situations thinking this is going to be fucking rad.
Yeah.
Right.
But then I guess my dealings with money, I'm so bad with money. I need to stop leaning positive. Like, no,
Right.
I can't afford, like, you need to cut that shit out. There's
Right.
not, so,
I can't afford an next trail.
Oh my gosh.
how
Yeah.
much is that? Oh, 3 times more than we budgeted. Great. Let's get it.
Let's just do it, right?
So yeah, I think, I think it's easy to put a blanket on and be like, oh, let's try to be always open. I don't really want to be. I think that takes the fun out of a lot of things and can also set you up for failure. But I do think when it comes to things that are neutral, I guess, we should be neutral, things that, concern all of us equally, such as climate change. I think, for things that are neutral, we should try to be neutral on those.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, we've only got
Bam! Hit you with some philosophizing.
Well, I was just gonna say we only got one planet, so I don't know. I mean, regardless if you don't think that we triggered it, shouldn't we be trying to find a solution?
I mean,
Be like, no, it's not our fault, but
but I think that goes into future thinking and thinking of things that are far away, and we have problems.
But
with
it's not that
doing
far
that.
away anymore, though. I think that's the
No.
problem. I think everybody's stuck with, oh, this is going to happen in the
But that's
future.
what
This
they-
is great grandkids. Like, no. This is the end of your life and your kid's life right now.
Right, but people even have a hard time thinking of that. I mean, I think social media and things like that have really given us a quick turnaround with our time frames.
They need to wake up.
I mean, I have a hard time with it too. I'm not gonna
It's
lie.
also, and it kind of, this is a huge throwback, but to what we were talking about with bullying on social media and stuff. People are so detached because we've heard about so many things that are dangerous that have not ended up affecting us. And they've affected, okay, so coronavirus is probably a good example. Say this all dies off tomorrow. It's killed a lot of people. But for you and me, like, it hasn't affected us. So that's another kind of chip away at the credit of anyone that comes along and says, oh, we need to fix this or doomsday's coming. We're like, bro, you fucking told us about coronavirus.
Yeah.
Back in 2012, you told us that Coney was this African warlord that was going to, steal all these kids. You told us,
Right,
like, we've been getting told all this stuff for years and years that, and it's because of social media and, well, it's because of the media going more global and then eventually social media. But if some shit was breaking out in China, you wouldn't really have heard it till maybe a year or two later when it was all done. You wouldn't get this bulletin that was like, hey, like, wash your hands, buy all the toilet paper you can or you're going to die. Do it now. It's just... that keeps happening. and nothing eventuates. It just, with each time that happens, the population goes kind of further into a slump of like, I don't need to take action when they say I need to, because nothing ever eventuates.
Yeah.
For sure. Man. Are you going to charge extra for all this philosophy you're spitting at us?
The philosophizing is free, but
Yes.
All this knowledge you be dropping?
the philosophizing is free. But if you want tickets to my next trip to the edge of the flat Earth, that's going to cost you some money.
Dang. That's awesome.
Well, what else is new? Anything else new before we wrap up?
Man, there's always a lot going on. But yeah, I've been doing a lot of research into this cost. When I say a lot of research, that's a bit of a lie. I've been doing a lot of my type of research, which is just trying to connect with people in Costa Rica and come up with a plan that way. And yeah, I'm excited to do that trip. I'm also thinking about going over to Colombia. There's a place called, I'm going to get this wrong. I think it's called Guadalat. But basically it's this whole bunch of rivers. I kind of need to send you a photo. I'm gonna look this up for people while you tell me something, and I am going to. So just so people can Google it, and because I can't explain it, but it's basically like these fjords, and there's this huge rock that you can go and climb, and it's absolutely beautiful.
That kind of sounds like a good hidden gem.
Oh yeah. Are we gonna do hidden gems on this show? We haven't even talked about that.
We should have had everybody do one.
We should have had everybody have their own personal hidden gem.
That's okay.
I didn't think about that.
We'll do a fantastic.
I figured since this was a special one, we'd skip it.
They are the hidden gems.
What you got?
I was going to say part of the problem that I've been having that I haven't spoken about yet is my phone's not getting internet in here. My computer's actually plugged in for a better signal, but so I can't look anything up.
Yeah, we can pull up.
So I can't tell you what that place was called, but there's a place in Colombia with this huge big rock hill, and it's beautiful, and everyone should go.
Sweet.
Yes.
That was an excellent story.
Hidden gems, so hidden
Good
we
job.
don't know.
We'll have you tell us about it, and we'll put it in the show notes. You can look it up after the show.
Yeah, we'll put the pictures on it.
And we'll put some pictures up. Yeah, we should do that for sure. We may end up having to.
I found it.
You found it?
On my, I just went in behind my laptop and found it. It's called Guatape, Guatape. Look it up. It is absolutely beautiful, and it's basically rivers with this little town, a bunch of really high hills with lookouts where you can look out over the whole kind of scene. And there's a couple of these huge, I guess they're rocks, or maybe they kind of look like limestone, but huge boulders that just jut up out of the ground, and you can climb them. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Okay, yeah. So I just looked this up. Wow. This is cool.
Let me see. I don't have a device.
Guatape, Colombia.
It's an Andean resort town in the northwest of Colombia.
It says it's in Medellin. That's where the cartels are.
Medellin's nice these days. They fixed it up. So this is just from what I hear, but I have a friend that's also a digital nomad, and he went there with on this. So he paid for a year to travel the world with 20 other digital nomads for the whole 12 months. And they spent a whole month in Medellin, and they loved it. They said it was safe. It's been fixed up. They're trying to aim it towards digital nomads and a younger traveling crowd. So it's got phenomenal internet and co-work spaces and hostels and hotels and all sorts of stuff. Supposed to be amazing.
We met a guy in Orlando when we went to Podcast Movement last year, Barbos. And he's from Medellin. Yeah. He's from Colombia.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and he said it's actually very beautiful, and that's what he said.
Did.
He said it's very safe now, and he says, it's not really like that anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So.
that's all the reports that I've heard from there, and that's kind of I was looking into going when I came across this Guatape place, and looks insane.
Yeah, we're gonna put some pictures up of this for sure because this is awesome looking.
I can't wait to see it.
I can't wait to see it.
There's so many places out there, obviously none of us had ever heard of that place before. like I think it was 2 days ago I did, and you guys now. It just shows you there's so much out there. It's incredible, and
It's gorgeous.
yeah, I know we're all like we talk about travel and stuff like that, and I hope this inspires some of your listeners to go there and check it out.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for that hidden gem. That was
Right, yeah. There's our hidden gem that we were looking for.
That's
Watapa,
beautiful.
yeah, absolutely.
I want to go
Sold.
there. Yeah.
All right, brother. I think we're going to wrap up. We've taken
Thanks
enough
for
of your
the
time.
chat.
Yeah,
Yes,
thank
no,
you,
thank
man.
you.
Hey, man, you guys can always have as much as you want. I feel like I'm just going to look now. How long were we just on for? I feel like we get on and just start chatting and it's fun, and then all of a sudden it's like 2 episodes.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. I'm like, I may have to spin this off and make this its own episode.
I'm sure cut some of it out, especially the bit where I didn't know what Bill Gates is. Did he cure AIDS or something?
I don't think
The Black Plague. It was the Black Plague. 1876, he wiped it out with tears from his eyes.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
We could have just a
All
show
right,
of you
man.
making stuff up like that. Is this true or not?
Ooh.
That'd be fun.
That could be a segment.
What's that? They do two lies and one truth.
3 truths? Yeah,
Oh,
3 truths
yeah.
and a lie. I haven't played that in a long time.
Is that a game?
That could be a segment. Yeah, so like I would tell you 4 things about my 5, can't add. 5 things about myself, and you have to figure out there's 3 truths and a lie. Oh, that's 4. 3 truths and a lie.
Oh my god.
Okay, so
I know what you should do when you quit your job and you go off and work online and travel the world.
Be a mathematician?
Absolutely.
accountant.
Look, it doesn't matter how many there are. Just do the math and take one away from
Right.
the number.
Thank you.
Basically, you're gonna find out which one I'm lying about.
So you try to figure out what you're lying about.
Yeah.
That might be a
So
fun
there's-
game to play on a podcast. That might be kind of neat. That
Oh,
might
for
make you-
sure.
Yeah.
You can do it, obviously you can do 2 truths and 1 lie, or you can do 2 lies and 1 truth, So if I went, either way.
Yeah, that'd be a good way. It's a good way to get to meet people and to know them. Because then they
Maybe
usually.
we should do that as a segment with all the guests now.
Yeah,
That'd
that's
be
what I was
fun.
thinking. Ooh.
Do you guys get a lot of interaction? Like, do you ever do this live?
We
No.
do. It's usually recorded. So, I mean, like we record it live like this, but then we don't do actual live shows. Now, we've been considering that, but we have so many technical difficulties. I'm like scared to death to do a live show because I'm always afraid something's going to go wrong. So,
I think you should set one up. You should do one. Set it up for a month or 2. Give yourself time to figure it all out properly, and do something like that, and get some listeners to chime in. And I think that would be a great show.
yeah, because
Base it on travel or adventure or anything. Get fucking Fancy Pants Tom back on and get him to do some 2 truth and a lie about Everest.
are you salty about Tom because you want to be number 1?
Maybe
So salty.
maybe this will be number 1.
We'd have to introduce you to Tom. I think you'd love Tom, actually.
Oh yeah, you guys would get along.
Oh, I bet we would.
All right,
Okay.
that was beautiful.
I think
All right,
that,
gang, thank you.
that
All
wraps up
right.
our segment. Hey, stay on. We're going to chat with you for a minute afterwards, but we're going to hang up on the show.
Thing. Sure thing. Thanks to all you listeners.
Yes.
You guys are great.
Yep, that's Nathan Johnson, man.
NJ.
You can go back and check out his show, Living in Bali, Part 1 and 2. All right, everybody, that was Mr. Nathan Johnson. He's great, man. He's one of my favorite guests by far. A couple side notes. If you could leave us a review out there on iTunes or anywhere else you find your podcasts at, that would really help us out a lot. If you know anybody that might be a good guest for our show, please reach out as well, nomadictravelerpodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on our Facebook page, Nomadic Traveler Podcast, or you can get us on Twitter @Nomadic Podcast. So if you could leave us a little message, something that you think might be nice for us to do on the show, for people for us to talk to. What do you want to hear about? What are things out there that interest you? We know we're in the middle of this coronavirus right now. what are some ideas of things that we could be doing to kind of keep ourselves occupied, because it is a little tough to travel right now. And, what are you looking forward to in the future when things free back up and we all get to go back to living our lives again? What are you going to do? What are you going to go out there and do? Who do you want to see? Where do you want to go? Places you want to stay? Let's kind of share some of the love. So you can also get on our Facebook group, Nomadic Traveler Podcast group, and we can get on there and share kind of the love with everybody about what we're doing in the meantime to try to get by when we can't get out there and do the thing we really love, which is the travel. That's all I got for today. We'll see you next week.